Hello and welcome to chapter 12 on mental health. I love this chapter because it touches on a subject matter that is so ostracized in society, and it's very important for us to realize, especially as women, because of the things that we take on, that just as there are doctors for our bodies, there are doctors for our minds too. This is not something that we can just suffer with in silence anymore. And hopefully this chapter will be extremely informative and helpful in helping to not only dispel some of the myths and the stereotypes that come with mental health, but also offering you options to assist you in really just living a healthier, happier life. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and dive right into the chapter. If it will work for me. There we go. So what is mental health precisely? And we have quite a few roundabout definitions of what mental health is, but one of the definitions that you might be able to think best fits what this phrase really means is how we think, how we feel, how we act, how we deal with life, how we problem solve. So it's just a roundabout definition. It can mean a variety of things to a variety of different people. But when you think about mental health, really think about how you are really feeling and dealing with issues in your life. Are you dealing with them in a healthy way, in a non-healthy way? Are there some chemical imbalances that will affect you? It's more of a psychological, emotional, mental state than anything else. And then we go into what is good mental health, and that also can vary based on a variety of different factors. One definition is a state of well-being that allows someone to be productive, have fulfilling relationships, cope with difficult circumstances, and adapt to change. Let me also just say that you can actually do all of those things and still suffer from mental health issues. And this is why I say that it can mean a variety of different things for a variety of different people. There are many people who put on their I'm happy coat every day. Mothers do this particularly when mothers are very, very tired, when they still have to make meals, when they still have to do soccer runs, when they still have to cook for everybody, when they drive everybody around everywhere, do all the housework, and then still go to work. And this is very common for women to oftentimes put on the happy face, and they're being productive. They enjoy their relationships. They're coping with circumstances. They're very adaptable. Women are the most adaptable creatures on the planet, but they're still not really pulling in good, strong mental health because they're tired, because they're feeling weary. So they can do all of these things. Men can do them as well, but this is a women's health class, so we'll focus on us. Men can do this as well, but women, we have a tendency to have a problem saying no. And I have learned later on in my life, as I got into my mid and upper 30s, that no is a complete sentence. The word no has granted me a remarkable amount of freedom, and I don't have to explain anything, just no. So, are you coming to this? No. Are you? No. And I leave it at that. I don't explain myself because I don't have to. And this has given me such a freedom from an emotional and a mental health standpoint because I don't have as many obligations. I don't feel like I'm disappointing as many people. So I just say no. And then I don't explain myself. If someone wants an explanation, they are more than welcome to purchase a vote by selecting which one of my bills they will be paying that month. But if they're not doing any of that, then no is a complete sentence. I promise you, just try it out and say it with a smile. No, I won't be coming to that. No. Do you have plans? Unmovable ones. So these are ways that we can really help our own selves achieve actual mental health. Sometimes mental health for us ladies is actually saying no to everything and sitting on the couch and having a binge session of Gilmore Girls or whatever it is y'all watch on TV today. Sometimes that's what we need. We need relaxation. So when we think about good mental health, I want you to look at this definition and see how it is really affecting your life, how it is implemented in your life, and are you really happy? So I wanted to take a little bit of time just to touch on that. Mental health and physical health, we know that the body is a unit. It is interconnected. When your mental health is not good, you oftentimes feel tired. When I get sick and tired of people from a psychological perspective, I feel exhausted. It's like mentally, y'all wearing me out. How is it that I'm physically tired from dealing with y'all? And so we have to take a break. we have to take a break. Our bodies are not machines. And so when we are feeling depressed, when we're feeling anxious, when we're feeling upset, these things actually depress us, make us more tired and fatigued. They increase our stress levels, our blood pressure, and it actually puts us at higher risk for cardiovascular disease. Another thing that mental health does is our physical health affects our mental health. So it's both. If we're not in good shape, then mentally we can sometimes feel drained. If mentally we are suffering from some issues, then physically we can also feel drained. So they're interdependent. They work as a unit, kind of like the cardiovascular system. It's heart and lungs. You need both of them. Well, your body is the same way when you are dealing with issues of the brain, of the mind, of feelings, all of that. It does have a significant impact on your physical health. And this is another reason why exercise is used as a treatment for depression, for anxiety, for a variety of mental health issues, including ADD and ADHD, which is actually considered a mental illness or a mental, emotional, physical type of condition, because it does have physical ramifications as well. Let's go ahead and move on to some other common facts about mental illness. So mental illness is extremely common. We're looking at upwards of 20% of individuals in the United States who are diagnosed or who suffer with a mental illness in their lifetime. And these are just the folks who are admitting it. There are so many more people who will not get diagnosed, seek treatment, etc., because of the stigma that we put on mental health. So we take care of our bodies, but then we have a problem seeking treatment for our minds. And that doesn't really make sense because our bodies and our minds are interdependent entities. So we really need to take care of both. So look at these statistics. 1 in 5 adults, that's 20% of adults. 45 million Americans are going to be suffering from a diagnosable mental disorder in any given year. That's a lot. 1 in 5. And really, it's more than that because we're just dealing with statistics here. Half of all Americans are going to experience some form of mental illness during their lives. Half, 50%. That's tremendous. It's a ridiculously large number. And many of these illnesses are things that we can actually treat. And there's something called a functional alcoholic. You may have heard of this phrase. You may have a family member who is a functional alcoholic. You may be a functional alcoholic. Well, there are many people who are functional with mental illnesses. And so you can't always tell just by looking at somebody. As a matter of fact, many of the people who are the most jovial, the people who are the most energetic, sometimes they are harboring mental health issues. And I'm sure you guys have heard about what happened with Robin Williams, the famous comedian, some years back. And he ended up committing suicide. It was horribly tragic, and he made so many people laugh. And one of the things some people don't understand about comedy is that comedy is often rooted from a position and a lifetime of pain and depression and suffering. So they use these tools to help other people feel better, but it doesn't mean that they're also not suffering from something. And so this is why we can't always say, you're the face of depression, you're the face of ADHD, you're the face of this, because it comes in many different forms and people just are exceptional at hiding it because of the stigma attached with it. And lastly, we have people with mental illnesses love others, hold jobs, and contribute to society. They're highly functional, highly functional. It's very difficult to tell, and that's why we can't really judge people. You just gotta treat people the way that you would want to be treated, regardless of the situation. So what affects mental health? Biology is one, okay? Sometimes there are genetic predispositions to some of the mental health conditions, such as schizophrenia and bipolar disease. Sometimes that's a little bit more biological and chemical. And then we have neurotransmitters, hormones, physical health, other aspects of society that may be happening that trigger some of the hormones or other physical health conditions that you already had. And then we look at social and psychosocial factors. The way that women are treated affects their mental health. And this is true for everybody. But again, we focus on women. We know that, for example, women make 77 cents per dollar that men make. Do you think that does not impact women in the workforce and the way that they are perceived at their jobs? Do you think that Women who don't speak out about sexual harassment in the workplace for fear of losing their jobs. Do you think that doesn't impact their mental health? Or women who can't report a pregnancy because they're afraid of losing their jobs? Or women who may be suffering from menstrual problems who can't call in sick because they may be perceived as X, Y, and Z by their employer. So these things greatly do impact mental health for women, and that is just the very, very tip of the iceberg. What else affects mental health? Stress. And let me tell y'all, I'm a high stress individual. There is a reason that I moved from Riverside, California, all the way to Chatsworth, because that drive, number one, was killing me. Gas tank was killing me. But two, I'm a high stress individual. That road was not working for me. I was cussing everybody out on the road. All of my Christianity was gone. All of the letters behind my name completely disappeared. I'm personally shocked that I have not been arrested for cutting people off the road. It's a very stressful time for me. Therefore, I moved right on up the street from the school, and this has greatly helped to alleviate my stress levels. I'm not a patient individual. And so stress definitely impacts my mental health. I was not the nicest person when I was commuting 5 hours a day from Riverside to Woodland Hills and Woodland Hills back to Riverside. I was not a very friendly person. I still can work. I was functional. I had a lot of stress, high blood pressure. I was easily irritated. So these types of stress, traumatic events, all of these things impact our mental health. And as women, we have a tendency to internalize our stress and not put it out there for fear of being judged, for fear of being thought as weaker, for a variety of different reasons. And that doesn't help us. That does not help us when we compress things. So think about the ways that you respond to stress. Think about what it does to your body. And is this something that you are willing to continue in the long run? Because remember, we only get one body. We want to kind of take care of it. So healthful ways to avoid, to cope with stress. Avoid it entirely. Okay. So we're going to smack whoever put that one there. We know that it's not really avoidable. Sometimes you can do the best thing possible for your body, for your mind. And there's always going to be one village idiot that sets your last nerve off. Okay. These are the types of people that if it weren't for other people around me holding me back, I feel like I've really escaped some arrest-like situations. So we know that dealing with stress is something that's just going to happen. We're not going to be able to avoid it entirely, but there are things that we can do. Exercise produces natural endorphins. If you have a creative outlet, I'm a musician, and I think that really helps me because I'm able to portray my mood through music, meditation, prayer, going to church, relaxing, yoga, certain exercises like yoga and Tai Chi and Pilates that are mind-body exercises are very, very helpful in helping to cope with stress. And then just finding support systems. Our family members, listen, sometimes they can stress you out more than the actual event that was stressing you out. But if you have a great support network of friends, family members, teachers, coworkers, capitalize on that which you have to help lower your stress levels. And then we come to how much it costs. A grip. One of the things that I have noticed in dealing with students over the past 15 years of me being in education is that it's very hard for them to find treatment. And even when they do find treatment, it takes them 2 or 3 or 4 months to get an appointment with the psychologist or the psychiatrist that they really want. And so that's definitely a burden. But then there's also the cost burden because some people don't have money. They don't have access to resources. So even though the resource is there, they don't have access to it. They don't have the money. They can't get there. They don't have train ticket money. They don't have bus ticket money. They don't have a car. They don't have gas. And so they don't have access. It's just as well that they didn't have the resource to begin with. So it does create huge economic burdens. When you are deciding whether or not to pay your bills, keep your lights on, or get mental health treatment, people are going to choose to eat and have a place to live. And so this stigma that is associated with mental illness, it really does not help us when we also throw in the cost effectiveness. And I use that word effectiveness very loosely. It doesn't help. This is something that everyone should have access to. Medicare provides a lot of access, but then of course the waiting times are longer. So we're going to continue this on in part 2. All right. Thank you.